Hari Hari Bol. All the remnants were left.
The what?
Remnants from the Radhastami. Like, for example, the echo turned on.
Oh.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Judha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Kuroti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vyahevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahabhatanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Trishe Nama Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayane Kalo Kalmashanashaya Janavapataye Nama Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Surutopangor Mama Mandamater Gati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadha Srimad Ratanagar Simhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Preshtalibi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasarasarambi Vam Shivata Tatakstitaha Karshan Venu Swanayra Gopir Gopinata Shriyestunaha Brindai Tulsi Debai Priyai Keshavasyacha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. First of all, I am offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Astatarashata, Sri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Lila Pravishya, Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Asto Tarashata, Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak, Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Asto Tarashata, Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams to the lotus feet of all of my Sri Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga. And then I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and to all of the Vaishnavis. So, I just returned again to New Braj from the San Francisco Bay Area, where I was for about 6 days, I think, 5 or 6 days, and drove back yesterday. Long, arduous journey. And we had a wonderful festival there with hosted and provided everything by Sri Radhakanta Prabhuji and his good wife Ratikala Devi Dasi. They did a very excellent job of putting on such a nice festival. It was actually a 2-day, officially a 2-day festival, because it was Lalita Saptami, the appearance day of Srimati Lalita Devi on the Sunday, and then on Monday, the day after, we celebrated Sri Radhastami. And but for me, it was really more like 3 days, because I drove up on Friday, and then because he had requested me to speak to the devotees in the Philippines on a Zoom call on Saturday. So I drove up on Friday, knowing that I would need a day to recover before doing that. And then that turned out to be a 2-hour Zoom call. And because I had helped tremendously by the also mercy of Radhakanta Prabhu in the very beginning to go to the Philippines and to meet all the original devotees. This was in 1998, I think. And Sri Radhakanta Prabhu in the early 1980s, he had been there in the Philippines for more than a year, traveling. He was a newer devotee at that time, and he was traveling and preaching and distributing books all around the Philippines. And they'd made many devotees at that time, and they started the ISKCON centers there. I think they were under Hansaduta Prabhu at that time. But so many years went by, and so we were in 1998. That's about 17 years later. And because Srila Gurudev had started traveling in the West, so now Radhakanta got the idea that he wanted to bring Gurudev there to the Philippines and start up his preaching mission. And so I was staying in Singapore at the time, and he asked me to fly over there, which I did, and he rented a hotel room, started to get in touch with all the different devotees that he used to know, many of which were still around and still connected with Krishna consciousness. And so we did 1 week in Manila and then 1 week in Cebu Island. These 2 places. So that was the beginning. And then Radhakanta Prabhu, he decided to bring Gurudev to the Philippines for a writing retreat, which was actually Srila Gurudev's first writing retreat. I think it was that same year, 1998. That same year? Yes. Actually, I'm forgetting. At any rate, it could have been 1998 or 1999. But I think it was not, yeah, it was 1998 Gurudev came. Because he rented a hotel room in Manila, which was a business hotel. And it was, it had a VIP room and it had a penthouse, and he rented all the best for Gurudev. And we had about a 5-day program there. And then, I think that's when he brought Gurudev to Cebu Island. And he rented this resort, which was rented consecutively a couple of years. I think 2 or 3 times Gurudev came. And he stayed there. A resort in Cebu Island, right on the beach front. Gurudev liked that, being right next to there for his writing. So that was his first writing retreat, where he stayed a few weeks, I think. And then the next year, Radhakanta wanted to start a temple.
In Cebu?
No, in Manila. And after Kartik, he approached me and he said, I want to start a temple. I'm willing to rent a nice house for the devotees to have a temple in Manila. And so I would like to ask you to go there and to head this up and to even select which place. They've chosen a few different places in Manila, and I also want to give money to buy everything that you need for a temple in Loy Bazaar. Dhotis, kurtas, japa beads, the whole. So I did that, and then I flew there, and some days later, Vrinda Didi and Tunga Vidya, who always went in front of Gurudev first, to make sure that every facility Gurudev would be accustomed to would be there, right? But we rented this big, huge house, very nice place, and it was in a very good neighborhood too, big house. But it needed a lot of work, top to bottom, and not only that, but the backyard, which it had quite a nice backyard, connected with the house, was full of garbage. So what we did was we got all the devotees together, and we began cleaning and cleaning and cleaning, and we turned the backyard garden into an actual nice garden for Gurudev to sit. And his quarters, like we did a lot of renovation in there as well, like on the floors, restaining the floors and varnishing and all of that. And then buying the furniture for Gurudev, his bed, his chair, his Vyasasan, his everything. So that was quite an endeavor. Then Gurudev came and stayed not long, a couple of days first. And then he went to Cebu for a whole month. And toward the end of that month, we came over for a week-long festival in Cebu. Yeah, and that was the year of the Y2K, switching from 99 2000. Actually, Prem Prayojan was also there. This is before he took sannyas, 1999. And so we did a lot of preaching. Yeah, that was a very memorable time. Gurudev initiated a lot of devotees in that visit.
Including Krishna Karunya?
No, Krishna Karunya came. I'm trying to remember if he actually took initiation. I think he did. But he was brought over to India because they were pursuing him. So he was brought over to India, and then he didn't leave since that time. Yeah. So see. Okay. Anyway, I had a Zoom call with those devotees and that was sweet. Now actually Radhakanta, in the last couple of years, he purchased a very big house. It was like $1 million house in Manila. And that's where the devotees are living. But the devotees in Manila are still, it's still quite locked down. They can't have any gatherings outside. Everything has to be indoors, or actually mostly they said it has to be over the internet. So that's been going on from the beginning there in the Philippines. So this turned into a 5-day visit for me, because the day after Janmashtami also I stayed on. And what we were reading from during Janmashtami was the Sri Radha, our Supreme Treasure book. I had downloaded it and I was scrolling, looking for different things. Also, on the Lalita Saptami day, we of course spoke about Srimati Lalita Devi, but I began to read the 4th chapter of Adi Lila, certain sections describing Krishna's 3 desires, how he wanted to experience Srimati Radhika's praying. And I got about halfway through that. Right. So, what I'm thinking to do, of course we have these days coming up where we'll do the Katha of these next 4 days, because tomorrow is Vaman Dvadashi. And so, you know that because Vaman Dvadashi always comes after the Ekadasi, and we're generally always fasting on Ekadasi. So what Gurudev has always told is that on that day, we have to worship Sri Vaman Dev before we break our Ekadasi fast. Yes, and apologize to him and ask his permission. That's what Gurudev told.
Oh, so that means we'll have to do that tomorrow morning at like 7 or something?
Well, even individually, the devotees can do that on their own. So, and apologize that we have to take grains today and so forth, because you have to break the Ekadasi. And if you didn't do Nirjal, then you have to take grains to break the Ekadasi, right? So, then the day, also tomorrow is Srila Jiva Goswami's, isn't it? His appearance or disappearance day. And then the day after is Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's appearance day. So, let's see.
It's Saturday.
That's Saturday, right. And then on Sunday is Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur's disappearance day. And also Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, who also disappeared on that day 2 or 3 years ago. Forget. Then on Monday is full moon day, Purnima, and it's called Vishnu Mahotsav Day. And we all who are following the non-shaving sannyasis, brahmacharis, well, we shave in the middle. That's the middle of Chaturmasya. Yes, so on that day, we'll also have the appropriate Katha. And then after that, I think there's a gap then. So, but I want to continue, my feeling is, and you can express what you think, but I'd like to continue reading relevant areas of Sri Radha Katha, Radha and Krishna's pastimes, Radha and Krishna, all of that. Why not? I wanted to do it on another year, but I went in a different direction. But at any rate, I think this is a good opportunity. I'll be making a trip down to Los Angeles very soon also. Not sure which days, but be gone there for maybe a week. But other than that, I'll be up here. So is that okay?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. There's also that book, Bhavanasara Sangraha, which has so much pastimes in there from all the different shastras. I actually have that book. You have it too, right? We have 2 copies. Okay. So, part 1 is titled, let's see, I'll go to the beginning. Part 1. So, part 1 is titled Glorifications of Sri Radha by Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Swami Maharaj. And in part 1, the first lecture, well actually, there's a preface before that in which they're quoting from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. An amazing quotation. So I want to read that also. I read the last 2 chapters in this book there on Radhastami Day. And I also read Sri Radhastami, which is a description. Or did I read that? Okay, so the first lecture is called Bhajami Radham. Srila Gurudev is speaking about the verse of Raghunath Das Goswami. Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurasmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Baradram Tato Mumanyasti Gatirna Kapi. The second lecture is Vrishabhanu Nandini, then Damodar Vrat, then the subject matter expounded in Srimad Bhagavatam, then the song Radhi Jai Jai Madhava Daite, his explanation, then Sri Radhastami, then Janmastami, glorification of Sri Radha, then actually I read that on Janmastami, here. Janmastami, glorification of Sri Radha. Then Sri Krishna also takes shelter of Sri Radha. The glory of Sri Radha part 1 and the glory of Sri Radha part 2. That's part 1. So that goes up to page 83 or to page 91 of the book. Then part 2 is excerpts from the books of Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the first one is very short. It's from the book Harinam Mahamantra. And it's the commentary on the Mahamantra by Srila Jiva Goswami. Then the second one is also an excerpt from this book Harinam Mahamantra. And it's the commentary on the Mahamantra by Sri Gopal Guru Goswami. And then there's an excerpt from Sri Rai Ramananda Sambad, titled Sri Radha Tattva. So that's part 2. Now part 3 is all eulogies by prominent Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So the first one is Sri Radha's Swarupa by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. The second is Sri Radhika by Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The third one is Sri Radhastami, the day of her advent, by Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Next, Sri Radhastami by Sri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Then the Supreme Perfection by Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. Then Who is Srimati Radharani by Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj or Prabhupada. Then Knowing Krishna's Energies, also by Srila Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. Then Shri Shri Radhastami by Sri Srimad Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. Then Shri Shri Radhastami, same title, by Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj. Then Shri Radha Tattva by Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj. Then Radha Prem Makes Krishna Mad by Sri Srimad Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj. Then The Fire of Separation by Sri Srimad Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj. And finally, Krishna Never Leaves Vrindavan by Sri Srimad Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj. So then, part 4 are a lot of songs, Gaudiya Vaishnava songs glorifying Sri Radha, which are coming, of course, from our songbook. That's all been compiled together in here. And so, just reading the title of each song. Radhika Charana Renu, Radhika Charana Padma, Radha Bhajane Jadi, Ramani Shiromani, Varaja Vipine, Shatakoti Gopi, Vrishabhanu Sutta, Dekite Dekite, Palyadasi Kori, Chintamani Moy, Shri Krishna Virahe, Kotai Go Prema Moy. We sang that. Very nice, actually. Radhanath Prabhu sang it up there, the whole song, and it turned into a whole kirtan. Then comes the Ashtakams, like Sri Gandharva Sampartanashtakam by Rupa Goswami. Then Sri Radhika Ashtakam number 1, Radhika Ashtakam 2, Radhika Ashtakam 3. Then Sri Radha Stotram, Sri Radha Kripa Kataksha Stavaraj, Sri Nandanandan Ashtakam, because you have to sing that. Then Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate, then Kalayata Nayanam, and finally Sri Mangalam Mangalagitam. That's the book. I mean, tell me, is that not a collection of treasure? You know the book's title? Sri Radha, Our Supreme Treasure. But like this book, the collection of all this in one place is such a treasure. I mean, I can hardly wait to read so many of these, you know.
All these books you named, they're in the book Sri Radha.
Yeah, I'm just reading from the beginning part what's in this book.
Oh, what's in the book Sri Radha, the Supreme Treasure?
Yes, that.
The greenish one, the beautiful book.
You have it here?
I used to have one, someone borrowed it.
Okay. But yeah, that's what it is.
Great.
And I think that we will be extremely enriched if we read this. What do you think, KK? I'm saying that we can spend time now.
Well, with Kartik coming, it's right around his month.
Yes, that's right. That starts when? Middle of October, right?
Yeah.
Middle of October. So we're in the middle now. It's about a month.
We can prepare for Kartik by hearing
Absolutely.
Radhika.
Yeah, and also singing these songs. And also I want to complete the reading of that 4th chapter. There are some amazing purports by Srila Prabhupada in that 4th chapter. And I know that, I really wish that we have, it's being worked on, but that we would have the actual Bengali commentaries of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita. You know that Gurudev wanted to do that from like the very beginning. He said this. He said, I want to present whole Chaitanya Charitamrita with the commentaries of both. So his devout disciples have continued that project, and they've also added to that the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which is not full commentary, but it's a partial commentary. And there's a devotee named Gokul Chandra living in Vrindavan. He's from Delhi, but he has been working on that for a few years now. And of course he's translating it into Hindi, and from there it can come in English. But that's going to be amazing, because when we have that, then we'll be able to also see how our Srila Prabhupada, utilizes their commentaries for his. So that'll be very interesting. So part 1, I think we can start from the beginning. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ki Jai Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakradev Ki Jai. Give me 1 minute.
Radhashama Sundar?
I took them home.
Where?
I took them home.
Oh, so they're just nearby.
Yes, they're right
Okay.
there.
They're hiding, they're in the bowers.
It was hard to take them away, but we missed them so much.
Hare Krishna.
Who's picking up Govinda and everyone?
We have a car. Jai Govinda has the car.
Oh, he has it down
At the
here.
airport.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they will be there.
Jai Govinda's car is
Yeah.
at Fresno Airport.
great.
1 week long. Hare Krishna. They're expected back at 1 o'clock.
So the first, the lecture by Srila Gurudev, Bhajami Radham. Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhura Smitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Barardram Tato Mamanyasti Gatir Nakapi. You can repeat. Bhajami Radham
Bhajami Radham
Aravinda Netram
Aravinda Netram
Smarami Radham
Smari Radham
Madhura Smitasyam
Madhuras
Madhura Smitasyam
Madhuras Smitasyam
Vadami Radham
Vadami Radham
Karuna
Karuna
Baradram
Radham
Tato Mamanyasti Gatir Nakapi. So this is from Stavavali of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. It's from a stotram that he composed called Vishaka Anandadabi, like Vishaka Nandadabi Stotram. And this is verse 131. It's a very long prayer. And so the translation of this verse, Gurudev used to say it sometimes. He used to add it. Not so often, but he used to add it into his Mangalacharan. First line says, Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram. Aravinda Netram means lotus eyes, lotus petal eyes. I worship Srimati Radhika who has lotus petal eyes. So Raghunath Das Goswami is expressing his meditation. Then he says, Smarami Radham means I remember. First of all, I worship Bhajami Radham, then Smarami Radham, I'm remembering her. Madhura Smitasyam.
Sweet smile.
Yes. Then Vadami Radham, I am speaking about Karuna Baradram. Karuna Baradram means whose heart is melting with compassion. And then Tato Mama Nyasti Gatir Nakabi, my life has no other purpose than serving her. Gatir Nakabi. Gatir means goal, purpose. So now Gurudev tells, I have heard from my Gurudev, from any Vaishnava, that Sri Radha is so beautiful, so merciful, and so madhur, sweet. I pray to her feet. I have no qualification to hear all these things, but seeing the qualities of Srimati Radhika, I have dared to pray to her, and I know that she will hear me, because she is Sarvagya, all-knowing. Certainly she will hear. Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram. Aravinda Netram means eyes like lotus petals. Why? Because lotus petals are fragrant. They have a good smell. They are very soft, so soft. Here, soft means that if someone is in any distress or any difficulty and is weeping, then it softens Radharani's heart, and she certainly bestows her mercy upon them. So, Raghunath Das is giving the example of a lotus. Her eyes are lotus-like. Anurag means red. She is immersed in Krishna Anurag, deep attachment to Krishna. And the corners of her eyes are like a lotus, somewhat reddish. So Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is saying, I want this kind of Anurag to enter me. And you, Srimati Radhika, can make that happen. So, in these words, there are some hidden meanings. O Srimati Radhika, Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram, Smarami Radham Madhura Smitasyam. I am remembering your sweet smiling face. Why is she smiling? Why is she smiling? Oh, she is in man, her mood of jealous anger. And Krishna is trying to pacify her, but she is not pleased. Radha tells Krishna, you cannot love anyone but me, no one else. Krishna does what Radhika tells him, and she becomes pleased. Now she is smiling. That's Gurudev's vision of that. Madhura Smitasyam. Why is she smiling? Gurudev just told in such a pastime. She is smiling. Oh, I have conquered Krishna. He is doing everything I tell him to do. She is Madhura Smitasyam, sweetly smiling. She looks to the gopis as if to say, now that I have conquered Krishna, he is Sobhagyavat. He is feeling fully fortunate. Yes, Sobhagyavat. So Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is saying, I want to remember all these leelas. Vadami Radham Karuna Bharadram. I am always uttering the name of Radha, who is always so merciful. Karuna Bharadram. She is always giving mercy to anyone who wants to serve her. Tato mama nyasti katir nakabhi. I have no goal except you. I have no one else but you to look to. I only want to serve you. There is no one but you. So this is published in the Raise the Harmonies, Volume 2, Number 2, Kartik 1998. Real early one. So now the next excerpt or lecture from Gurudev is called Vrishabhanu Nandini. What is the meaning of Vrishabhanu Nandini?
The darling daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj.
That's right. That's our highest, just like Krishna is called Yashodananda, right? Nandananda. And that's his eternal name in relation to his father and mother. But there's an explanation that we were reading the other day. But why is Radhika referred to as Vrishabhanu Nandini and not Kirtika Nandini?
Because he's the one that first found her.
That's right.
He's the one.
And yes,
The one that first found her.
Oh, he found her, yeah.
you know where he found her?
In the basket.
No.
The lotus.
On a 100-petaled lotus flower in the Yamuna River, which used to flow right next to Rama, right, where it was appeared in this kalpa, right? And he saw her. Gurudev was describing sometimes she was sucking her toe. She's just lying as a little baby on this lotus flower. Hey, don't do that during the class. Just a little baby. So, and her hands were moving. So Vrishabhanu Maharaj saw this beautiful baby. And there's a whole story that we were reading about how Narada Muni was searching. Because when Krishna took his birth, then Narada Muni was thinking, oh, Krishna never is separated from his potency. Certainly, his potency is taking birth in Braj also. So he began searching, and when he came to Rabal, then he understood that Vrishabhanu Maharaj, he asked him, has there been a baby born? And Vrishabhanu Maharaj told like that, you know. Yeah. How do you go?
What?
Oh, you can give one carpet for him. Yeah. Or a chair if you like.
No.
So, yeah, and then Vrishabhanu Maharaj says, yes, there is a baby that has recently appeared. You know, he didn't say born, he said appeared. And so then, yeah, Narada Muni wanted to see that baby and give blessings. So, and that's why Srimati Radharani is always called Vrishabhanu Nandini. So Gurudev begins by saying that in Vaidhi Bhakti, or devotional service following the prescribed rules and regulations, the worship of the deity, Archan, is prominent in Vaidhi Bhakti. Note down these very authentic points. Someone may be serving Radha and Krishna, performing Archan to them, and so forth. But even though that person is performing his worship in accordance with a Vaidhi marg, the path of regulations, which ordinarily brings one to Vaikuntha, he will not go to Vaikuntha. So Gurudev is saying that someone may be serving Radha and Krishna, performing archan to them, and so forth. But even though that person is performing his worship in accordance with Vaidhi marg, the path of regulations, which ordinarily brings one to Vaikuntha, he will not go to Vaikuntha. Where will he go? If he is liberated and has become perfect, siddha, then he will go to that part of Goloka where there is opulence and swakiya bhav, wedded conjugal love. You heard that before? Yes. The outer part of Goloka has that pastime going on, wedded love, swakiya. So, we just heard, he's worshipping Radha and Krishna, doing archan. No, he won't go to Vaikuntha because he's worshipping Radha Krishna. But will he go into the internal whorl of the lotus of Goloka Braj? Not by Vaidhi, because he's doing Vaidhi Bhakti. So, there is no parakiya, unwedded amorous pastimes there, in that part of Goloka. It is like Vaikuntha, where there is so much opulence and where there is swakiya bhav. In that part of Goloka, the devotee serves reverentially, like this. Then Srila Gurudev bows his head and folds his hands. They will address Radha and Krishna by saying, "Oh Prabhu," just how one addresses Lakshmi and Narayan. But since they are worshipping Radha and Krishna, they are not in Vaikuntha. They are in that part of Goloka that is on the boundary or the perimeter of Vrajmandala, called Gokul or Vrindavan. So Vrajmandala is also called Gokul or Vrindavan, but they are in the perimeter, they're on the boundary, not in Vrajmandala. Now those who are performing the archan of Radha and Krishna on the path of, guess what? Raganuga, spontaneous love. However, so those who are performing archan of Radha and Krishna on the pathway of Raganuga, spontaneous love, however, they will go to Vrindavan, the very heart of Goloka, where they will serve Radha Krishna Jugal in Unnata Ujvala Rasa, the topmost brilliantly radiant love. And those who worship Radha and Krishna, but not in the mood of this Unnata Ujvala Rasa, and not under the guidance of any gopi, they will go to Mathura or Dwarka in Goloka. Got that?
So we'll go to Golok, but it's not the inner core.
It's not the inner, not Vraj.
Must be pretty good though, huh?
But, yeah, but for those who are actually Rupanuga, oh, never. Never. Okay, so let's continue. Yeah. So what will they do there in Mathura or Dwarka in Goloka? What will they do there? They will serve like Satyabhama, who is a manifestation of Radhika. Such persons will serve Satyabhama and Krishna there. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has kindly explained all these truths, and one who is aspiring to practice Raganuga Bhakti should know them. You should also know that Goloka consists of 3 places. Number 1, Vrindavan, Gokul, and Braj. These are in the same category.
The second one? Oh, Gokul.
Gokul, Vrindavan, it's known by these different names. Vrindavan, Gokul, Braj. These are in the same category, he's telling. Second one, Dwarka. And third one, Kurukshetra and other places. So, Goloka consists of these 3 places. You should know this. Srimati Radhika also has 3 aspects. She is the same Radhika in all three, but her mood is somewhat different. These aspects are Vrishabhanu Nandini, Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhika, Viyogini, and Radhika Samyogini. So Vrishabhanu Nandini, then Radhika Viyogini, and Radhika Samyogini. So Vrishabhanu Nandini is the original. And Radhika Viyogini is when? We can tell this before Gurudev explains. Viyogini and Samyogini. So Radhika Viyogini is her manifestation when and where?
When she's feeling separation because Krishna appears to have gone off to Mathura and Dwarka.
Yes, so Radhika and the gopis, as we know, they never bathed and dressed. They stayed in the forest, right? After Krishna went on the chariot of Akrura. They never left that place. And that manifestation of Radhika is Viyogini Radha. And that also continues into the next manifestation, Radhika Samyogini, because Samyog means meeting. So Kurukshetra is where Radhika journeyed as Samyogini Radha. She left Braj. It's just like Krishna, he never leaves Braj. Neither does Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhika. But manifests these features for pastimes. So now he says, Gurudev says, who is Vrishabhanu Nandini? Srimati Radhika is always with Krishna. Always. They're never separate. Although a mood of separation is sometimes there, when Srimati Radhika is in Man, her mood of jealous anger, or when Krishna goes cow herding, or when Radhika feels prem vaichitya, separation from Krishna, even when they are together. But only at these times, they're apparently separate, right? But Krishna and Radhika are always together. So Vrishabhanu Nandini never feels separation. This is Nitya Leela, eternal pastimes. Nitya Leela continues from one morning to the next. From Nishanta Leela, the early morning pastimes at the end of the night, to all the other Leelas in each 24-hour period. Do you understand? There is no Naimitic Leela there. So there's a footnote here what Naimitic means. Naimitic literally means an activity that takes place due to some cause. It is sometimes called causal activity because this cause does not exist in the spiritual world. In other words, because there are no demons there, because there is no one opposing Radha and Krishna's union, and because Krishna never leaves that place, such pastimes do not exist there. They only exist as a conception or a mood. So now Gurudev is explaining three types of dhams. There are three lokas, or manifestations of the dham. The first is prakat dham, where the dham and its pastimes fully manifest in this world. Prakat dham. The second is aprakat lila stal. That means the spiritual world, where Krishna and Radha perform their nitya lila, their eternal pastimes. And the third is drishyaman dham. Drishyaman dham, which is the Vrindavan on earth that we see now. At the present time, we cannot see Krishna and Radha, and we cannot see their pastimes. What are we seeing? Who are we seeing? Because we are covered by Maya, we cannot see any pastimes. But we can hear of their pastimes and then understand, for example, that this is the same Govardhan that was lifted by Krishna. And this is the same Yamuna as in Krishna's pastimes. So this is called Drishyaman, the present vision of the Dham. What is Prakat Dham? Prakat. When Krishna descended with all his associates, Vrajadham also descended from Goloka Vrindavan. And although both Prakat Dham and Aprakat Dham are one and the same, and there is no difference between them, on the other hand, there is a difference. At the time of Krishna's Prakat Lila, when he descended to this world and played here, Yogamaya connected this earth to that transcendental pastime place in the spiritual sky. At that time, the beauty of that place, Vrindavan Dham, was so glorious. All those who were Nitya Siddha, eternally liberated, and Sadhana Siddha, perfect through spiritual practice, all those could go there and see Radha and Krishna. And those who were practitioners, the sadhaks, as well as those who had attained bhav, could also go. Another difference is that although Vrindavan here in this world is the same as the transcendental Dham, because our eyes are material being covered by Maya, or in other words, because Yoga Maya has covered the Dham, we cannot see it. On the other hand, a very high-class devotee sometimes gets a glimpse of that Aprakat Lila. So in that Aprakat Lila, there is no birth pastime of Krishna. Abhimanyu, the husband of Radhika, is also not there, and Krishna does not go from Vrindavan to Mathura and Dwarka. Only the mood or the conception, the abhiman of such pastimes is there. For example, everyone in Vrindavan has the conception that Yashoda bore a son. Bore a son, Krishna. But there is no janma, there is no birth pastime in Vrindavan. Only Navakishore, Natavar Murti, Krishna, is there. That means ever-fresh youth, the embodiment of the best of dancers, right? Natavar and Navakishore. So, only Navakishore, Natavar Murti, Krishna is there, and Radhika is also there. This is the root substance of Aprakat Vrindavan. In Aprakat Vrindavan, there is only an idea that Krishna has gone to Mathura and Dwarka. Yes?
So for...
Give me the mic.
For jivas whose eternal position is in the mood of Vatsalya Ras, then they are not able in Aprakat Lila to serve Krishna in that like baby, young, childhood form, but only they have the idea that they've served Krishna in that way, and then they're serving him alongside Mother Yashoda as she dies when he is teenage Krishna.
What I've understood and also heard is that Krishna shows his childhood baby form. Otherwise, that would not be very fair for the eternal associates, would it? So the Nitya Dham can accommodate the different forms. But as Gurudev is saying here, Natavar Navakishore is there. But Krishna also manifests his childhood forms in their hearts. So like what is being told here is that in the Nitya Dham, certain pastimes have not occurred as they did here. There was an actual birth. There was actual killing of demons. But the conception is there. And one thing, when I meditated on this point years ago, the conception is there, right? Actually, conception in the spiritual world is reality. It's not like here. A conception here is imagination, or on the mental plane and so forth. But their conception there is the eternal reality. So there's not a necessity of killing demon pastimes to take place there. Here, there's a lot of other things connected. A lot of other pastimes, Mathura Lila and Dwarka Lila, the whole thing is connected with killing demons and so forth. There's not a necessity for that, but it's not that they don't have that experience that Krishna is the killer of the demons. They have it in terms of their internal abhiman, their conception. And that is actually the reality. Because if it was not the reality, then how is Krishna the eternal son of Mother Yashoda? He is her eternal son. He feels that, he thinks that. But of course, everything is going on by Yoga Maya. But there is never any other manifestation than this. Krishna is the eternal son of Mother Yashoda. Everyone in the spiritual world knows that. Everyone feels it, you know. And so their pastimes are coming from their internal conceptions and mood. So that's why my point is that mood is everything. It's absolutely everything. Mood, bhav, you know. So, you were going to ask something.
Well, even in this world, sometimes parents will see their adult children still as children.
Yeah.
They'll actually see them, and we know that Malini Devi saw Nityananda Prabhu as still a child, as adults, so that, as you say, that mood, the teenage Krishna can be there, but what you see in your heart would be something other.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a good example of how the perverted reflection of the spiritual world is there in the different material rasas that are here. And that loving affection of a mother seeing her grown-up son. Sometimes I think, like, you know, even the young kids, your young kids are practically taller than their mother right now.
Yeah.
But yet she always sees them in her mind's and heart's eye as little babies that she took care of and changed their diapers and all of that, you know. So this is the rasa. So even in the material rasa, it's there, but it's not reality. It's not reality. But in the spiritual world, it is reality. Their conception and impression that they have in their heart for Krishna and the various pastimes that took place is reality to them, you see. So, in Prakat Lila, Krishna's pastimes in one of the material universes, I'll just go another 5 minutes. I'm squeezing. In Prakat Lila, Krishna's pastimes in one of the material universes, however, these conceptions take a tangible form. In Aprakat Lila, Srimati Radhika thinks, I am married to Abhimanyu. This is in Aprakat Lila. She thinks that. But this is only a mood or conception created by Yogamaya. And on the other hand, here, in Prakat Lila, that conception takes a shape. And everyone can see that Abhimanyu is the husband of Srimati Radhika. In other words, in this Prakat Dham, in Prakat Lila, everyone can see that Yashoda is giving birth to Krishna. Like when we would go to Gokul, Gurudev would sit there, because, you know, the pandas there and all of them, they're a little confused.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have the right tattva. But Gurudev would say, and he would say, here, there's the actual room where the umbilical cord was cut. So if you tell any Brijvasi that Krishna is the son of Devaki, they'll never believe you. Because they saw with their own eyes. So, yes, in the Prakat Lila, everyone can see that Yashoda is giving birth to Krishna. There, in Aprakat, although there is no birth, everyone thinks that Yashoda has begotten a child and that his name is Krishna. They also have the conception that Krishna has gone to Dwarka, although actually he has not gone. They lament, oh, Krishna has gone. He should not have gone. I am feeling so much separation from him. And similarly, there is no Kamsa in Aprakat Lila. There is only an idea of him. The Brajvasis think, oh, if Krishna goes to Mathura, he will fight with Kamsa and Chanur and Mustika. There really is no Chanur or Mustika there. Only the idea is there as created by Yogamaya. In Prakat, however, these conceptions have taken solid shape and have become Chanur, Mustika, Kamsa, Jarasandha, and so on. Only a realized person whose bhajan has come to the stage of bhav can understand these truths. I am giving an outline only for those who want to advance, for those who have no worldly desires, and for those who are always thinking of these subject matters. I am telling all these things in order to help them. This is called association. Oh, this is a nice quote from Gurudev. When you're talking about Gurudev's mission, you know, and he's saying, I am giving an outline only for those who want to advance, for those who have no worldly desires, and for those who are always thinking of these subject matters. I am telling all these things in order to help them. This is called association. So a man who is always engaged in making money, who desires pratishta, that is name, fame, and all other worldly attainments, who is always busy in earning his livelihood, cannot understand these principles. Still, I am describing them. I know that such high-class devotees are very rare, but still, I am speaking these things so that you can hear. In the future, you may be fortunate enough to attain that place, Goloka Vrindavan. So, there is no difference between the Vrindavan that manifests in a material universe, prakat, and the Vrindavan in the spiritual sky, aprakat. But our eyes, covered by Mahamaya, cannot see this. We have no conception of aprakat lila, only of prakat lila. All the leelas in prakat lila, however, are in aprakat lila, and therefore Parakiya Lila is also there. The root is there. The perverted reflection is in this world, in that mundane extramarital affairs take place here. So we'll finish there and continue on another day. And then he's going to be explaining the three aspects of Srimati Radhika in this lecture. Wonderful lecture, huh? Makes everything so clear.
That's amazing.
Yeah, without clarification of the realized Braj Rasik Vaishnava, you cannot enter
Was
these.
that all from the Sri Radha?
Yeah. I'm reading.
Sri Radha.
Yeah, that book.
Yes.
Sri Radha. Gurudev's book. Green paper.
Okay. Jai Shrimati Vrishabhanunandani Shrimati Radharani ki Jai Jai Shri Radhesha Vanshaka Pucharubhashcha Kripa Sindhu Veda Chapati Janam Pavanebhyo